5. All right, let's go round table.
Back again for discussion 2 of part 5.
Thank you, Brad.
Rhythm of War.
Thank you for helping me with
The Rhythm of War, which is a book by Navani.
No, we're doing Oathbringer,
yes.
by the way. We're doing Oathbringer now.
Oathbringer. Part 6.
Yeah, I thought it was a book by Brandon Sanderson.
We are actually doing Rhythm of War Part 5.
Discussion 2. All right.
discussion
And with us today is Jerry,
Thank you.
Brett, the director.
Yes.
Ben, the hitman. I gotta thank
Aim the Dream.
Andrew the captain coming to you live from the front lines of her Daz.
All right.
rebellion.
Let's get into the discussion 2 of part 5.
Here we go.
Cheers. So Kaladin, this chapter was, I almost feel like some of it I was like, man, I feel really bad for Kaladin in a lot of this, but I'm also like, oh my gosh, he just needs to be, I want Kaladin to be awesome again.
Now,
Yeah.
I've got to tell you how awesome he was. Let me tell you how awesome he was.
Oh, tell me.
After he saw Teft, I'll tell you. I'm going to tell you right now.
you.
Ready? He just beat the shit out of the defeater so many times and so aggressively.
The defeater?
The defeated.
So many times.
The defeated.
I fucking absolutely love that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, that epic, it was scary. I mean, it was very dark side.
Yes.
It was very much dark side of the Force.
The dark scene where he just like pinned him to the wall with the glove, and then he's like, your head ceiling, and he's just like, he's getting pulled in both directions.
Oh my god.
Till his
it
head
was
just gets
so
ripped off.
crazy.
I mean,
That was amazing.
I am not a fan of violence, but some people just need to be taken the fuck out.
Dude, he was taken out. I loved it where he's like, no, I will keep coming for you, and I will kill you so many times you're nothing.
Yeah.
And he just like kept going, and I'm just like, oh my god, dude, Kaladin, he's going to the dark side. I thought for sure Odium's champion for just a heartbeat, only a heartbeat. Not true, but
But that scene where he just like sets him up, and then he just like walks away, and he's like, I'm done with this, and his like body, the Punisher or the Pursuer's body is just slowly getting ripped in half. Like, oh, that was so nuts.
I love how, and then even Leshwi, I'm gonna say it right for you guys.
Thank you.
She even is like, you're defeated. Go away. You're just the defeated. Like she just like,
I know,
oh
it's
my
so
god, and he
great.
did that in front of all of his people too.
I love how Kaladin knew exactly what it took to actually kill him.
Yeah.
It's so great.
A public shaming.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what it took.
It needed multiple in a row, but it all started
Yep.
with the
Some
defeats there.
people just you know, there's no growing to happen.
It also
The defeater is just he's never gonna come to grips. He's never gonna come out. Most likely, he's never gonna come out and just be like, "Oh, I know the error of my ways." No,
you also saw
just end him, Kaladin.
You also saw in a lot of ways like how much he depended on the fear of others in terms of his reputation.
Yeah.
In which case, when Kaladin just went berserk, it was
had no
like
fear,
it
yeah.
had no fear. It didn't matter anymore. And then Kaladin's like, I know you. You're not a warrior. You're not really a warrior.
Yeah, you don't have anything to fear because you just keep coming back.
You just keep respawning.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even know fear.
I have felt
You don't
fear.
even know fear.
Exactly. I have felt
which
fear.
is
I've
so
lived through fear.
potent. And
I have fought death many times.
I mean,
You have
But you
kind
haven't
of-
fought anybody like me.
It kind of goes back. It kind of goes back a little bit to what we were talking about before about
awesome.
like who's.
I saw those eyes.
It kind of goes back to like a little bit of what we were talking about.
Sorry.
You do know that. What was I saying? It kind of goes back a little bit to what we were saying before about like, you know, who's the more skilled, not skilled, but who's the person that you should like revere the most? The one that had to start from the bottom or the one that achieves more?
Yes.
You know,
This
it kind of goes
right
back
there.
to that. It's the same thing. Kaladin is mortal. Kaladin has something to lose. And to me, to reach the point that he has, knowing that at any moment he could just not exist, is way
More potent.
it's way more potent than anything
Yeah.
that god could accomplish.
Yeah, it was extremely good, and it was very humbling for that particular fuse. But it was really good to see because
Humiliating.
you almost
Bumbling.
understood the fear, and I guess it would be like just like embarrassment.
Well,
that
it's like,
he was-
well, I'll
if
come
your
back,
life,
but
if your
yeah.
life is your reputation and somebody puts that on the line, now he has stakes. For the
Yes.
first time in his existence, he has something to lose.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's for eternity too, which is
Exactly.
awesome.
That's what probably even more frightening to him, which made him make some dumb decisions or like overreact to when he should have been like, I just need to go reset. He's like, I'm going to stay in this fight because I've got a
Well,
point
no,
to
there's
prove
only so
now.
many times he could do that against Kaladin because he already did it a bunch of times, and that's what Kaladin was
Well,
depending on.
no, that's what he
Like,
said
one
though.
of the
Normally he
things.
would have just gone and reset, but he was goaded into so much that it's like, if I leave now, even if it's just temporarily,
It's a
it
loss.
looks like a weakness, which
Yeah.
is like my image. I need to keep this up.
It
So
would have been
big.
a weakness that he lost to a human that couldn't even surge bind.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of crazy.
Oh my gosh, and even Kaladin just like being like dropping the spear or like screw the spear and just pulling out the scalpel.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this is the tool I can use to do this. That fight scene was great. Granted, like, and I feel like they skimmed, maybe not skimped out, but they held back on a lot of the action sequences. But I think that was one that like it redeemed it. It made it so good, even though it was so much more subdued than everything we'd seen.
Yes.
Like, it wasn't even nearly as like described out as the first like battle at the beginning of the book with Leshwi and
Yeah.
Kaladin like flying and all that stuff. This one was way more kind of visceral and quick, but it had so much of an impact.
I don't know how
That's what
much.
I was saying earlier that all the battles are like one-on-one in this book.
Mm-hmm.
Kaladin and the pursuer, Kaladin himself.
Yeah.
It was very gladiator-esque.
Yeah.
I
If
think
you
you
remember
mean
that
Kaladin,
movie
the
from
defeater.
The defeater.
called Gladiator with Russell Crowe. But I did really like that that like kind of personal vibe, and then just that imagery that Sanderson put in my brain, where he like just had his head going to the ground, but he had his body stuck here.
To the
And I'm
wall.
just like, dude, walking away like that. He just didn't even watch. He just walked away. Like, okay, and
He mic dropped his head.
yeah, he might drop his head. But the problem is, at that point, Kaladin was so twisted, and I felt so much anxiety at this moment.
Well, it was too
because it wasn't a great victory. It was like a great victory to the dark side.
No, Moash
You know?
was like,
oh no.
Moash was like, do not unleash the vengeance side of him. Just let him wallow.
Yeah.
Don't go up to him. And he's like, oh, I must be like stand over him and like kill him, like prove that I can kill
Whoops.
him. That was a mistake because then it was just like
Yeah.
the vengeance strictly.
All
Which
right, Red
did
Viper.
lead to his that was probably, without the intervention of Dalinar, that was probably the right decision for the fuse. Like, yeah, you should make Kaladin just be like, screw it, I'm gonna kill and just
I
like
wonder
die,
about that
kill till I'm dead.
because I was thinking about it, and it's very clear that Odium had actually selected Kaladin as his second champion, and he made that very clear when he said to Dalinar, "I've lost 2 champions now," or did he say it to somebody else? But anyway, he said it, and
Said it to Nightblood.
maybe to Nightblood as it was piercing his soul. But the main point is, like, Dalinar was champion select number 1. Champion select number 2 was Kaladin, and so whether it was the right move or not, I don't know. If you let him wallow, would have Kaladin eventually wanted the pain to go away enough to like embrace Odium? Maybe that was the strategy. I'm not quite sure.
Might have been that or just for him to kill himself.
Yeah, maybe even killing himself would have allowed him to
Odium
entrap
to-
his soul somehow. We
Well,
don't
and
know.
you could also think that Kaladin could be someone with that much investure to his, even though he died, he'd stay. but then Odium taking that person and be like, I'm gonna use you for myself.
We don't quite know how that was gonna come to fruition because it seems like it got interrupted halfway. Maybe even because
I mean, it's basically how he won over Moash, right?
yeah,
Promising
but
him
Moash,
to take the pain away.
yeah, unfortunately, Moash, what he didn't realize was he wasn't cool enough to be an actual champion.
Right. Right. But I'm saying, like, it would make sense that he would try and use, like, the same lure.
Yes.
You know, two people with such pain, with such past.
Exactly.
You know, I can make you not feel it.
All right.
Yeah.
So, before we continue down the Kaladin path, we have to talk about Teft, for sure. And this is so sad for me because Andrew was completely right. And that's why I put it in the last episode. But I gotta say, to see his spren at the moment of him almost getting the fourth ideal stabbed in the head by Moash's blade.
Yeah.
And then I just loved Teft's response anyway. And I pretty much loved Teft's response altogether. Like any time that he was there, like I might, I can always go back to the what's that drug called?
The fire moss.
Fire moss.
Andrew knows.
He just got off of it.
Yeah, Andrew just got off a binge.
We just pulled him off of there.
I did.
But oh man, that was just so sad. He's like, I'm worth it, and like that's like it, and then even when he
I'm
died,
forgiven.
yes, and even when he died, he had like that hope, kind of like Kellen's gonna fuck you up in his eye.
Yeah.
And then I got so panicky when Kaladin wasn't fucking them up. Because I was like, no, Kaladin.
Well, Moash just drops his body, like, just being like, oh, hey, Kaladin, FYI. Just, like, throws it
I
over
got
there.
so much anxiety over that.
Yeah,
I was
that
like
was
reading
rough.
that. I'm like, no, Kaladin, now you have to. You have to.
Yeah, but I think that's such a, so he uses the glove, gets all the way to the top because he's chasing his dad. And then when they throw his dad off, and he's like, well, this is where I'm supposed to be anyway, and he just jumps.
I
Ooh,
thought that we were
was-
talking about Teft first.
Oh, well, keep going with that then.
Well, before we get to Kaladin's great escape, so to speak, Teft, in my opinion, now is encapsulated as a statue. We'll have to do cheers.
Hell yeah.
To Teft
The
To
top.
Teft.
and his fire moss eating ways.
Yeah,
Okay.
I felt really
Continue
shitty about that whole thing, about calling that. It felt like his character art had kind of completed and come full circle in this
You
book.
called it, man.
So it just kind of seemed natural for Sanderson to give his character the axe. But that being said, I still wanted more from him because he did so many cool things to support Kaladin in this book. I wanted to see where else Sanderson could have taken his character, but
yeah.
we won't get that
Dude,
opportunity now, obviously. But
I'm honestly a bit
I mean, we
sad
did
about
get
that,
the
too.
opportunity. We know exactly where he took his character.
yeah.
Yeah,
Too
poor
soon,
Teft.
Brett. Too soon.
Poor Teft. I remember I was out for like a drive and I was listening to it and I came home just having listened to that chapter and I ran downstairs. Jeff was playing his game right over there and I was like, poor Teft. We both just had like a moment of silence for Teft.
Brett had just gotten there. I felt like that's how I felt that one night. I'm like,
I mean, I feel like his death was even probably worse than, like, Elokar's, and since then...
Yeah.
when's the
Elokar
last-
died? No, I'm just kidding.
when's the last, like...
it is. He was on the fourth ideal.
Yeah, when's the last
bridge of it.
person that we've seen that's
Well, you know what's even worse?
main character, kind of?
The crazy thing is like Moash killed his spren too. He killed two people there. He didn't just kill
Yeah, he killed
one
the spren.
person. He killed two people there.
And we know that the Spren, up to this point, have been very scarce. The honor Spren that have been coming are not at the same level.
Sorry,
So I
speakers.
feel like the the decision there to be like, we're gonna now kill one of these honor spren.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if they become dead eyes or they like
Gone.
cease to exist.
I feel like Deadeyes just happens when oaths are broken, right?
Right. Yeah, that's what I would. Well, yeah, that's what I would feel like. I honestly, one of my questions is what is happening to the spren that Dalinar's the bondsmith is bringing? Like, are those spren that are brought over into the physical realm? Are those completely dead, or are they like they
Sorry, everybody that's listening on the podcast instead of watching it on YouTube. Jeff's just opening up his Christmas gifts now.
They're in liquid form.
But the spren that the other bondsmith, Talm? Not Talm. What's the other?
The Mad King.
Ishar?
Talm was the badass,
Ishar.
the best. It's Ishar, yes.
Ishar.
Ishar.
All of he's
No,
bringing.
it's Ishar.
He's bringing spren.
It's Charmander,
Yeah.
Josh.
It's
Get
an
it right.
it's
It's
an
Charmander.
It's an electronic char. Ishar.
Retro Roman is going with this.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
don't know.
continue.
No, let Manny continue.
He was making fun of Jeff. So you should enjoy it. Go ahead.
Okay. So he was bringing the spren physically out of Shadesmar.
Oh, shit.
And
yes.
are those aren't even we don't I assume that they're not turning into dead eyes, that they're just literally
just
brought
dead.
over to physically
They're killing
die.
them.
Which in the thing to this point, the only way there's been no way of killing them except breaking the oaths, and then all of a sudden we get introduced to the
Even
the
breaking
dagger
the oaths
with
doesn't
the
kill them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But now we get introduced to the dagger with the opposite whatever it's
Song.
called, the opposite
Frequency.
song, the anti-void light or anti-stormlight. Now all of a sudden though we're introduced to a third way of somehow bringing them out of Shadesmar to the physical realm, and they just die, which I'm assuming they're dead, right?
It seems like it.
Oh, yeah.
Which we get introduced in this book in the last like 30 pages or 100 pages or whatever, 2 ways that
right.
you can kill spren.
So obviously, after we talk about Kaladin, we have to talk about Dalinar, which is going to lead to the most amount of Brett bets on the planet.
There's one
for
thing I
us.
want to say about Kaladin.
No, I'm not going away. That's why I'm saying. Before we get to that, because that's part of kind of Dalinar's point, I almost want to hold a little bit, just a tiny bit, I'm sorry, so that we could finish Kaladin, because, oh man, that, what you're talking about right there has some Brett bet stipulations to it, and time constraint. So
Josh got up to the point pretty much when Kaladin jumped off the ledge to follow his father.
Oh, so good.
And he's like, oh, this is the end. And he had that whole scene with Tien.
oh my god,
mhm.
Tien stayed. He stayed.
Well, we learned some stuff
we
that we
learned
never knew
stuff.
before.
Fuck.
We learned Tien's perspective, and
Man, that's
like Dalinar gave him that expanded time, and like it made sense since he was fallen and he was gonna die. He needed a way to not die, so he had to reach the fourth ideal. But it just seems so easy. He was going through all this stuff. He couldn't comprehend all the stuff he's done, and for what, pretty much. And then Tien just like, no, it's my choice. You should just look at what you have. And then he's like, oh, okay. And then he reached the fourth ideal.
But I didn't feel it was
thought
that
it was a
way.
bit much. Like,
Ben's
it
like
just
already
happened.
knowing. He's like, no, wait,
Like,
Jeff.
it
just
was-
wait.
Jeff.
Just wait, Jeff.
Like, it happened. And even though my bet was against him reaching his fourth ideal in this book, I thought it was just,
Now I get it.
it was just so fast. Like, he just overcame it. So, like, all this trauma, and even he, at the end, he said he didn't really overcome it. He just kind of accepted it. It just seemed.
Remember though,
I will say
there.
though.
It seemed
He was
almost
almost
like a
there in
cop-out.
book 3.
Yeah.
He was almost there forever because he's always known the words. He's just been waiting to accept the reality of
Well,
those
hasn't
words.
been able
He
to.
could, he does say he couldn't save Tien. That's his
Yeah.
thing. That sometimes, like,
So
that's
there's
his
two
picking up.
things I agree with you halfway, but I also feel like that there's precedent for why this is. One is I feel like this idea has been primed in him a few times now with Rock and with Teft both. This idea of you're not in control of me, you can't like live my life for me. This isn't all about you has been kind of like primed in his head.
Yeah.
And so we did have some germination with that idea leading, all the way. Was it just in this book or was it from the last book to
Well,
this
the
book?
last book, he almost did the ideals, but he had to,
Yeah.
he couldn't say the
Plus,
words.
he couldn't say the word, so that's been
So
kind of in him. But also, I feel like, if I'm remembering the scene correctly, I also feel like that a little bit of what played into it was also just the fact that, like, Syl was kind of dying in this moment also. And I feel like if he didn't come to the ideal,
Well,
that
they-
she would have been kind of lost,
They
right?
both would have died.
Yeah.
Because when he jumped off, he gave up his. It was giving up his ideals. I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Of
He, like, let go
his
of her.
first
Exactly.
idea, his second idea, his.
And I
third
feel like
idea.
in a moment he kind of made a choice, and then to like fix that choice, he had to like accept the ideals in order to save Syl a
I
little.
feel
Well,
like,
I think he could have also felt like accepted the first three ideals again. Like he was just in that really dark spot.
Dark
where
spot.
He just couldn't see any light. He couldn't see any hope.
Well, I think the big contributing factor here is we learned something that we never knew, that Tien literally wasn't forced into it. Tien was like, it was one person that was forced into it. You're gonna go to the top line, and Tien was literally just a delivery boy, and he's like, I'll go with you. So Tien makes the decision that he's gonna go with the person, and he could have not even done that. He didn't need to do that. And he's like, I saw how scared he was. I wanted to be there for him. So it wasn't just that, like, Tien was, like, forced into this. And Tien is literally, in that moment, does what Kaladin has done over and over again. And just because Tien, this is where it becomes that forced realization that Tien died, yeah, like, and that could have happened to Kaladin, like, 10 times over at this point. But what he's doing is trying to enrich that person. He's trying to be there for that person at that point.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
he makes the decision. I'm gonna go. I don't need to. Like, he wasn't forced into it, which I think was a big part of the realization of Kaladin.
That's what was holding Kaladin back. He couldn't like let go of this fact that he failed Tien, and then maybe this realization that he didn't fail Tien is what allowed him to finally make that jump.
Well,
But another question that I wonder. Another question that I wonder, though, is are we confident that this is what actually happened? Or is this just what Kaladin needed?
Or what
in order
Dalinar showed him.
Exactly.
well, I don't think that
Because,
Dalinar had
kind
a
of like
choice.
when Neo went to the Oracle, she said exactly what he needed to hear. You know?
Yeah.
Not
I think that it is actually something that happened
I think so,
because-
too, but I don't know if we know
because
for
Dalinar
sure,
doesn't
right?
have any idea what Tien looked like to be able to
Recreate him, or
conjure an idea of a grown-up or an adult Tien.
But if he could send Kaladin back, then couldn't he also potentially create...
it feels
I think
like
what he said is the way that they described it is he said the Stormfather said, "What are you doing, Dalinar?" And he said, "I see a glow. I'm making a bond."
Yeah.
And he just did it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I
Okay,
thought
it's
he
like he
connected
didn't
them.
know what
What he
gonna
was
happen.
doing, the
Like he just
intention.
said, "Shut up, Stormfather.
Something needs to happen here.
I'm making a
Bond
bond."
him or
Gotcha,
something. Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. Which
What
makes
are you
me
doing?
think.
And I think the reason that it happened quickly or he was able to overcome it is the whole book he's doing an internal struggle about dealing with
Yeah.
loss. And in this one moment, the biggest thing that's the biggest contributor
The biggest
to his
obstacle.
internal conflict is telling him it's not a problem on your end. You need to realize, hey, if we can enrich somebody's life by just being there for them, then do it. Yeah, you're not going to be able to save everybody, but giving up hope is what's going to make you
I mean, I
actually
see that
fail
too
somebody.
because
For sure.
if Kaladin didn't step up, everyone in Bridge 4 would have died on the Bridge 4. But he saved them, and he gave them a lot of them, all this extra
Memories.
time to be better people, to be something that they could have been before. And then some of them did die, but they didn't die in that wretched
when
state.
they would have. Yeah.
They died with all this extra time. With
Oh,
all
and
this...
obviously for that person, like, would I have rather died carrying the bridge or died 5 years later, like, in a raid saving people?
Yeah, they became like what they could have been.
I feel like Tien, though, was the initial block. Tien was the initial thing, the one last thing that he had to let go of, because that's the thing that turned him from blindly optimistic Kaladin that can do anything to, oh my god, I just fucking fail all the time. And, like, you know, he like, constantly went back to this. Like, we heard it so many times in the past, like, everybody else would come after, but he always started with, I failed Tien, I failed this person, I failed that person, I failed that person. He's always the kind of, like, the starting point.
He's the root cause.
The root cause.
One thing we need to do, guys, is we need to go back, and we talked about will Kaladin's Sash glyph come off? And we didn't make a bet on it, but I want to go back and see, because I think we went around and everyone said, like, I'm pretty sure I said no, it won't go away, because it's like he's accepted it and it's part of him, and that's why it stays.
I thought I said.
I'm pretty sure I said it's gonna get healed once his internal struggle.
Yeah,
I think I did as well.
When he made the next
At least I
bomb.
hope I did. Otherwise, I'm gonna argue this to the death.
But that's not the whole.
I'm pretty sure he still has it. We can't see him.
Yeah.
I'm already committed to this methodology. I'll never bend, no matter how.
But we didn't do it in Nebraska,
Whatever,
which we should
Lyran.
have. But I was surprised that it did come off. I thought that was gonna be part of
Permanent.
him. for
Well,
his,
especially when they were like painting it on as a symbol of.
right? It almost feels
essentially a
like
new symbol
him
for him.
losing it is like, to me, feels a bit like it feels like it's like, oh, it didn't happen, or it's just like
No,
It didn't happen. He just accepted.
Not at all.
He's
That
accepted
that he couldn't
it.
save
Well,
him.
He accepted he couldn't
But you
save
could
him,
accept
yeah.
that all
he
happened
couldn't.
and be like, this is part of me and it's okay.
No, I think it's hard to accept something like that, but also accept, oh, and I also deserve this. You know,
yeah.
I think
That's
that
like
was his
punishment
perspective
almost,
of
yeah.
him being like, I deserve this.
because he's lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm dangerous.
Yeah.
Stay away from me.
Wow, that scene was so intense. And by the way, we did get confirmation. Multiple comments came out about. So Brett had made a suspected theory on what the scene will be.
Yeah, which one was it? I make so many.
I can't remember exactly but what the scene. So Brandon Sanderson said the scene that started the entire book series.
Oh, that scene. Yeah.
was in this book.
Kaladin falling.
Yeah.
And
I thought it was that one.
And we had talked about it a lot, and then we had a lot of comments about how it might have been in one of the epilogues or something else. As it turns out, it's pretty official in documented interviews that it is. I've always imagined Kaladin jumping off the tower
To save his father.
well, it wasn't his father back in the original days. Sanderson said his relationship with his father was different in the beginning. So he thinks it might have been Dalinar or somebody else in the beginning when
But he
was first
forgets.
imagining
That's
it.
crazy that he doesn't even. He's like,
Yeah.
I think it was Dalinar.
But he said that it was not his father because the relationship was different back then when he was originally conceptuating. But he always imagined that jump off the tower in a storm and then like a lightning bolt emerging. Mm-hmm. And that started all of Stormlight.
Yeah, I wonder if we get some insight if we read Way of Kings Prime.
Oh.
Because that was the alternate universe, and we could perhaps see a different side of where that was
Interesting.
going. Like his original idea before he changed it.
Yeah, whatever the vision was that inspired the whole series was Kaladin jumping off the tower and emerging like a bolt of lightning.
With power.
We didn't know how or
A new
why
form
or
of
whatever, and it ended up being Lyran in the end, not
Yes,
Dalinar,
not
not anybody
Dalinar.
else, but Lyran.
I think that makes
he need to save.
sense. Because the weird thing though is it's not like he even jumped to save Lyran. He jumped to kill himself.
To die.
Yeah.
He just like jumped, and then he's like, "Oh, but there's someone out there I can still save, even though, like, yeah, that kind of says something too. That it's like he's kind of come to accept like, okay, the issue with his brother, and then it's like, well, while I'm here, I'm gonna save my dad.
Yeah. I like how his fourth ideal is, I can't save everyone, so let's go save my dad.
Yeah.
Because he could save him.
Yeah, I can't save you.
You know what's sad is both of them really wanted to save Tien, though.
I know.
Both people who were saying
It was the root of both
like-
of their, like,
Inner
true
turmoils.
inner pain.
that
was
to
Tien.
me, that to me,
All
I don't
their
know how.
conflict.
Yeah, I don't know how Sanderson did it, but that to me is a root of great human understanding. In that moment, like,
Ooh,
reading
do
that
you- Sorry. Go ahead.
is so impactful. Like to be wanting to do that. You have this like moment, and you're like, it didn't actually matter for what we both wanted,
I was just thinking it'd be
but yet.
It'd be
We
so
must go
cool.
on.
Just stupid shower thought. Sorry. I was just saying it'd be so cool if, like, we find out later in, like, book 5 or whatever that Lyran also had a similar vision at the same time of meeting Tien, and then.
Well, we kind of know actually. Lyran stated, "Geez, Kaladin, you waited a little long to save me." I think that's what he said.
Yeah.
But-
Cutting it close.
Yeah, it's
like right off the ground.
I thought Jeff was gonna make a profound statement or something, and he's like, "Jeez, Kaladin,
You're really
Hey,
cutting
Manny.
close.
you waited a long time."
Manny will never understand, but my profound statements are always that way.
That was deep.
always profound.
After both Jeff and I pass away and we meet each other in the heavens, he's gonna look at me and be like, Brett, we meet here in the Shattered Plains. So, okay, I've been waiting 30 years for
Wait,
this.
he
bro.
becomes Asian?
Shattered Plains.
So
It's like, I got my Fago with me.
I do have to say though, I have to commend Sanderson's ability here. I don't know how
I
he.
got my Traeger with me.
I bet her in heaven.
Yeah, hope you're hungry. I brought burnt tips.
Speaking of those burnt tips,
Or burn ends, or whatever they're fucking called.
no, we're good. We're so good. Cool. We're only at 189 degrees.
We are at about 2 hours.
Burnt
30
ends
minutes.
of red chicken.
All right, so to finish, we've got Dalinar, but final caps on Kaladin. I just want to say that I thought it was absolutely beautiful, like how Sanderson wrote that entire scenario, because deeply I felt in my life times like instances where I had only wished unbelievably that I could protect
Yeah.
when in times when I couldn't. And it's like it was a really deep moment for me. It was a really deep moment for me. So like reading that really, I thought that he captured something that I'm curious how he was able to do so well. I like any good writers can find holes into human realities that may not exist for them, or may. I don't know.
An amazing writer quote that I heard once was, to be an amazing storyteller, you just have to tell people how to survive living. It's like,
But
such
a thing.
It's like people look to stories as guidance to like bring them through their life.
But it's also so strange because that's such an intimate individual thing. So like as a writer, you're really good when you could find those intimate holes into ways, even when I may not experience something that somebody else experiences.
Or in the same way, exactly.
Or
to
in
be
the
able
same
to
way.
Get it
I
to
could
But the
hold in
broadness
there
of it
and
is
put
very
the
similar,
perspective there. And so I felt very, like very much so, like he did a good job there.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it a lot. Because I felt Kaladin, healing in a way. Healing. He's not healed, but in a way, accepting.
But he's
You can-
healing. He's beginning
he's
the
healing.
healing process, and I think it's a great showing of, like I said, real life people, real life problems, and you're able to relate to that because there's a lot of things that I'm sure that if we all have a lot of things that wish were different, and if we had somebody to be able to show us a space where somebody says, hey, the decision you made is okay, like it's a big burden off of our shoulders, and we'd be able to live life a lot happier. So it's really profound. Like that's why I'm a little shocked that Ben says it's kind of like instantaneous or a little bit too easy. I think it's just showing you how powerful our minds are and how we hold each other back from what we could be just because we have a lot of regret.
I have a feeling in book 5 though we'll realize that it's not quite as cut and dry. It's not quite as instantaneous as maybe it felt like to him, because I feel like, I mean, it feels almost like a little bit of a cliche because it's been like put into so much media at this point, but like, for example, like AA's first ideal is like so brilliant, which is just like making amends, like admitting that there's a problem, admitting you have a problem. Once you realize the change has to happen, so much can happen. Where a lot of like non-growth comes from is just from people's unwillingness to admit that they have something that needs to change. Yeah. And that's what this ideal did. Even if it's not completely finished yet, it's him admitting, I can't do this. And while I still might get bummed out when I can't save somebody, I know that I can't, for a long period of time, put that on me to the point where it causes me to not be able to do my job, to not follow my passions, to not be the leader of, you know, these great group of people, because it just causes so much damage in me because it's perpetuating over time. You know?
And I think we have such a setup for the next book too, because his new task is going to be going to help try and bring the same type of relief to one of these 10 demigod, almost like people that have lived for millennia, and be like, these broken people. Kaladin now has to be like, okay, hopefully you can go help save one of these broken people from themselves, similar how do you save yourself.
You know what's scary about that entire assignment, because this is gonna like lead into Dalinar. However, I do want to hear some of Captain's thoughts, because we've talked quite a bit. Captain's been thinking. However,
I was just gonna say, on that point, I think that the whole Kaladin's ideal of, you know, you can't save everyone, I think that that's gonna continue to be a point of contention for him.
Yeah.
Even though he's spoken those words and he's kind of internalized that, I think that that's still gonna be, like, it has to be an ongoing problem.
Yeah,
for sure.
All of his friends are going to be in peril for the rest of the story. So you know that that's going to play a key role in it. Kaladin isn't going to automatically look at it and be like, oh, snap decision, I know that I can't save everyone, so plan A. It's not going to be like that. There's always going to be a moral conflict.
I mean, how many books ago did we see him come to grips with how he can be a bit morose, you know, and yet Syl continually had to kind of like make him snap out of it, and it's an ongoing process. And then later on he realizes, you know, oh, even though there's elements of my personality because of the damage that's been done that I can get a little down on myself, there's also moments where I have to just, you know, accept it and stuff like that. You know, we've seen a lot of that coming to fruition. That was like introduced in the first book, and we're just starting to see him kind of deal with that truly in this book, you know?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's a long process. It's just, you just have to realize, you just have to make the dedication at first and realize that you're going to fail a million times before you ever get anywhere close to where you want to be, you know? But as long as you just don't accept that as, oh, this is me now, you know, I'm a morose person. As long as you don't accept it, and it's really weird, because I feel like a lot of the answers to the problems in life are very contradictory, because it's not accepting it, but also being understanding of it, you know? And I feel like a lot of people like to pick one or the other. Oh, this is how I am. Or, oh, I can't be this way, and then ignoring the reality of it. Where it's actually a balance of the two, where it's like you have to know that you're always striving for something better, while at the same time being kind to yourself and realizing that takes time and growth and failure, you know? So, and I think that Sanderson's just so good at understanding that and causing really realistic changes.
Yes,
Generally.
thank you, Dr. Brett.
Thank you.
Indeed.
And that is my TED Talk.
Yes.
Wait, Captain. So, Captain obviously thinks that he's going to be dealing with it. I think we could agree with that. However, did you have any other statements?
Yeah.
Any
I
Brett?
don't know. I'm thinking. And this is kind of just veering off of Kaladin and just looking to what we could potentially see from future books. It's going to be really interesting seeing within 10 days there's going to be an epic showdown with the champions. So we'll see how this plays out and how that's going to impact the next book.
10 days.
Well, we
So
know
the next book,
you
10
guys-
days.
we
Did
know
you
a
wanna
little
talk
bit of
about
what
that?
happens on day one. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
However, also something to keep in mind is nobody's technically gotten to the 5th ideal.
Mm-hmm.
By the way,
Yeah.
How many,
is it?
do we even know
this?
how many ideals there are?
there are 5.
Okay.
We know that, and it's really interesting because
Zeth isn't at the 4th, so his 4th.
no, he maybe is getting close to getting to the 4th.
But the 4th is he becomes his own.
Oh, it's
Is-
the 5th.
That's 5th.
That's the 5th. So the 4th is he? At
he
4th
goes on a
then?
quest.
He has to finish his quest to
Yeah.
bring justice to his people.
I'm confused. How do we know what Zeth's 5th ideal is?
Well,
already,
it's
though?
he gets told he becomes
He got
his
told
own
it in
law.
8-3, yeah.
He is the voice of law. He trusts himself to be enough to be the voice of law.
Okay.
So
right?
the thing with Zeth is, this is why it's so perfect for him, is that he has the oath stone and he does whatever everybody tells him because he's
Not anymore, he doesn't.
no, he doesn't.
Yeah.
But now he swears himself to a person because instead of swearing yourself to a law, which a lot of people do, swear yourself to a law, he said, I can't trust law. So he's like, I swear
trust a
myself to
person.
Dalinar's word. Dalinar's law.
That's why
So-
there's a part of me that worries about Dalinar losing the battle, becoming Odium's dude,
And then Zeth being his
is also
nemesis.
has to be his fucking dude until he reaches the 5th ideal. And then once he reaches the 5th ideal, he battles Dalinar, and then Dalinar dies.
So anyway,
Oh, calm down.
And it was all for nothing.
where I'm really going is Zeth is absolutely going on his quest to get to the 4th ideal. Liv's probably close to the 4th ideal. Teft was, unfortunately,
Close.
shares the
They're
Teft,
nearly
but we
there.
didn't
Like
really
right
get it.
there.
But Kaladin did get it.
Yeah.
Yasna has it. So,
And
but
What do you
nobody's
think?
fifth.
What about
Shaman is?
Wit?
Shallan,
Where's Wit?
Wit
also don't know where he's
is.
at.
We don't know where
Oh,
Wit's
it's
at.
in third. Can he
not-
summon
we know-
his
Dude,
sword?
how can Wit be alive as long as he's been and not be the 5th ideal?
Because he does not like his friend.
No, he
What if the-
because he just barely
The 5th
he just
ideal
barely
requires you to
got
say
the
to
spread.
Wait, I got it. Manny, what'd you say?
I said, didn't he just barely
Yeah.
recently
Yes.
get his friend?
He got it from
Oh, did he?
Elokar.
Oh,
got
did
his
he?
friend from
Yeah.
Elokar.
But he wasn't using it when he first talked to Shallan and was trying to.
No, there is various versions.
He's
and
from Warbreaker. He could do that in Warbreaker.
Yeah, there was various
But that was
versions
the breaths
of
stuff.
the equivalent of what Shallan is in the Cosmere. Various types of magic.
Well, he
Different
people?
types of vesture.
He keeps like complaining. He's like, this light weaving, it's too convenient for storytelling. Like I can just make them see it instead of making them.
Well, that's what he thought. That's what he thought.
Yeah.
Until he got that spread that kept ruining his stories.
No.
And then he was like, never
Oh, this
mind,
is
this is
harder."
not convenient.
But how do they know if it's worth listening to if they don't know the end?
Yeah, that's great.
Facts.
Oh my
was
gosh, I
amazing.
would be so upset. If I had a spren that just told the end of my stories
Jokes.
all the time, I'd fucking kill her.
People
I'd be like,
tell
all
me
right,
I'm
how do I break
endearing.
my oaths?
I'm endearing.
I'm endearing. You'll love me.
So anyway, I can say though that I think Shallan might be getting closer,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Like she probably did. Do you think she broke another like another barrier, getting
But she
rid of
has
Veil?
no Veil.
Oh, for sure.
Think so?
But I don't
not
think she
sharp
got
like
another
I don't think
ideal.
she stood up or moved up a oath level. I think she just was like closer than to getting to her fourth.
So maybe when Radiant goes away, she'll get her sharp blade.
when
Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, she has different sets of requirements than Kaladin.
Yeah.
Like, he's a more set in stone. Hers are more based around, you say the first truth, you get the sword, and then once you become to terms with who you are, which I'm assuming once she absorbs Radiant, she'll become...
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
feel
say
like
it's probably a prerequisite to
part of
advancing,
hers is
to be whole.
gonna be like her truths, or she like not even just like telling the truths, it's that she accepts the truths or something. Like she
Pattern's gonna hate
acknowledges
that
the
truth.
truths.
Well,
Who is?
Pattern's gonna hate
Oh,
that
yeah.
shit. He's like,
Well, I
accept
mean,
the lies.
He has no more oaths to swear.
Mm.
That's the first oath was
Is
all
the
it was
only
with
one.
her.
Oh, by the way,
She
guys,
just
we
has to
did
accept the
Stuff,
truths
the
or something
truths,
like
yeah.
we did take a Brett bet on
Did
I think.
that
I could be
Shalon
wrong.
situation, which will be fun to do in the Brett bet.
Well,
Yeah, we got to wait for the
We
birthday.
100% found out that Shalon did kill.
That cryptic.
Well, she didn't kill the cryptic, but she also killed
Shalon,
what's her face?
I wanted to
Wife.
introduce you to somebody.
Sadius's wife.
She killed Sadius's wife.
Yes,
It wasn't one of her people. And...
Hey, you got that one, I think, right?
Oh,
Wait, but
yeah.
does that still count? She's one of her people.
No,
I think
that was Josh's bet. Anyway,
It was
I think we-
Radiant.
Well, I think I initially said
It was
that
Radiant,
it was
you're right.
another version of her that we don't know yet. But I don't think that was what the actual Brett bet was. I think we'll have to mince words on
we
this.
are gonna argue.
Oh, you got it wrong. You got it wrong. It
We're
was
gonna have
Vale.
45 minutes of argument over this one.
Yep. It sounds like Josh is gonna be drinking.
deep argument Brett bet episodes, which will be great for the Brett bet episode.
but
What an idiot! He thought it was someone else.
do we? What else do we have to discuss? Because we are getting
Dalinar.
long here. We got to
No, this
discuss
is it.
Dalinar, and I also would really like to just touch quickly on Moash.
All right, so Moash was part of Kaladin, so we might as well cap that off.
Okay,
and
we'll
go
cap
into
off
Dalinar.
Moash, and then we'll talk about
I'm
about
so
Dalinar.
upset that it's like Moash being like, I need to flee the tower, and just barely jumping out and like making it just far enough away to be like, oh, there's some listeners found me, and I'm like, I'm okay.
Well, he's
like,
blind.
oh,
He's not
Blind.
okay.
He's not fucking okay at all.
But I also was like, God, how lucky can this?
Do you hate that guy now?
Oh my
So,
God.
Here's the thing.
So annoying.
Here's what I think.
Josh is so cruel.
Here's what I think.
Just died.
I have a feeling one of the parts in part 5, our words of radiance, are going to be Ash and No Ash, because I think that Moash is going to have to I think the new Odium Taravangian is going to stop seeing a blind Moash as useful to him, and he's going to take away the promise. And I think that Moash is going to go through some parts where he's dealing with the pain of what
everything
he's
he's
done. And he's going to have to live in that pain. He's going to have to live in that fucking misery. Nothing's going to
Oh
take
my
it away.
God! Never mind. Brett is cruel.
But what else did I ask, Jeff?
Yeah.
I also wondered, I'm not saying that I think this is possible. I don't want to make a Brett bet out of it, but I also wondered if this journey of him having the pain taken, or the pain relief taken away and dealing with it, is going to bring him back to a mindset that makes him honestly regretful. Redeemable. And I wonder if Kaladin could ever accept that redemption.
So I here's my response.
might
By
be
the way,
the
I
ideal
love the idea. I love the story idea of Moash
won't see that
wanting
till
to be
20.
redeemable. But I was thinking about me as Kaladin.
I mean, he's done so much.
And I'm like, no, he wouldn't be redeemable for me, but he could be redeemable for the story.
Yeah.
Well, when
Meaning, I don't have to forgive him, but he could give his life up for the story.
I just said this to Brett. Could that be 5th ideal level of honor?
You
to be able to
bastard.
turn someone from that
I'll
level
protect
and
even somebody. No, he already said I'll protect somebody I hate.
But no, could it be that I can redeem, or someone is that redeemable, or to be
Are we
like,
protecting or are we redeeming?
are
them?
we?
Well, hold on,
What are we moving away from?
but the thing is, though, is think about it. They kind of would go hand in hand, where if you admit that you can't save everyone, then potentially you also have to admit that nobody is beyond saving.
Yeah.
Or even the fact
Because
that,
like I said before, I do think
could
that a
even
lot of the
save
answers in
somebody
life
lost.
are contradictory.
Like you could even save somebody
or
lost.
no,
Save somebody
or
like that.
even your enemies are people you need to have the same compassion as your companions.
That's not honor. That's compassion.
I would rather
could
see
be an honorable
Moash
thing to be
give
like-
himself up. I think Moash needs to be the new Teravangian bit.
I mean,
In a moment of compassion, Moash will finally do the right
I-
thing instead of kill.
I think Moash
and just
is gonna be
sacrifice
involved
himself
in
for the greater good.
fifth ideal.
instead of killed.
I'm
Teft.
calling it. I'm doing it.
What's
Brett bet. Moash is gonna be involved in Kaladin's fifth ideal.
Involved?
Like the forgiveness somehow.
It's so open-ended, Josh.
No.
Yeah, it's so
He
open-ended.
just closed it up. Forgiving Moash.
Oh,
Is
okay.
gonna
never mind.
be the forgiveness or the
Is
redemption
involved
or
in
somehow
Kaladin's
fifth ideal.
ideal.
Forgiving Moash.
It's a really good thing.
Or the
I'm gonna say
redemption
no,
of
'cause I
Moash,
don't want
or
it to be
the
true.
acceptance.
Ben's
of
like, that's
Moash.
a really good theory, but I hate it.
I don't ever want it.
I've also got to say no. I gotta say no. I truly don't. I actually want Kaladin to be human enough to not forgive him,
And kill.
and I want Moash to do the right thing anyway.
Well, here's what I believe. This is the thing. I think the hard thing is we never know. I think in real life, it's really, really, really hard to know if this criteria is ever met, and that's why this is so hard. But take away, the realities of life. I personally believe that if somebody actually changes, if somebody actually becomes a new person, if they actually see the error in their ways, and it's not just some way to, finagle the system, I personally believe that there's no amount of evil that can be done that
Insurmountable.
that is insurmountable. I really do believe that you should always be redeemable. Now in reality, when you put that into reality, I do think that there's a certain level of evil where anybody capable of that probably is incapable of ever being redeemed in the sense that they would change their mindset. But like, for example,
Like they would want redemption.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But for example, like what's his name from Walking Dead? Like he's one of everybody's favorite characters because he was a piece of shit. And then
Dale?
And then he wasn't. Yeah. Dale. Right?
Dale.
Dare?
Are you talking about Negan?
I don't know.
Daryl.
Dale. But he
guy is
wasn't
a
like.
Cosmere?
I think you're talking about
he wasn't a
Daryl.
murderous
Bad in the
piece of.
big-
Yeah, he wasn't a murderous.
He was
but
never
I'm just
like
saying
that,
that, like,
but-
I don't know. I think that when people think that they're never redeemable, they end up just becoming more villains, and I think there always has to be a
Correct.
possibility of redemption.
The thing
Like
is,
Van Lee. Van Lee thinks she's not redeemable, and she's gonna become.
And she's gonna become even more of a piece of shit.
if he becomes Moash, like realizes the error of his ways, and is like, I need to change. Is he not still held accountable for his actions?
No,
by
I'm
that?
not saying that you're just forgiven. I'm just saying I don't think that there's ever a point where you cannot be redeemed, and maybe the level of your sins needs to be equivalent to the level of your redemption path.
Oh, hey, by the way, I
don't
agree,
know what that
but
is.
But I thought the right one was about Kaladin.
Oh, we
Yeah.
haven't changed off the Brett bet.
Moash's forgiveness is involved
Yeah.
in Kaladin's fifth ideal. Jeff.
So I say, no, wait, is that what it is?
That is
Or
what
is
it
it
is.
forgiveness is involved?
No, I'm
Moash's
saying okay,
forgiveness.
Forgiveness is what we put in
I
there,
don't
but
think
it could
that
be
Kaladin will
forgiveness.
forgive.
It could be
Moash may be involved, but it may not be full-on forgiveness.
I don't
So I'm gonna
necessarily say forgiveness. I would say forgiveness, redemption. Moash's.
This is getting more complex.
Yeah, but it's Moash's.
It
a-
revolves on Moash.
Moash somehow something either accepting Moash or even if it's accepting responsibility for Moash.
Yeah, like it
or,
can't be killing Moash is his fifth ideal.
That
Yeah.
would be amazing.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be, no, that is not the fifth ideal.
He's like, I'll bring justice, even if it means bringing justice to my friends.
Yeah.
That's what
It's the same ideal as
That is,
Zeth. Kaladin's and Zeth's fifth ideal are the same.
So
Exactly.
Jeff's a no, right?
Here's the thing. I do think that
No.
Moash could be involved. I want to say, in my opinion, even though I could see story-wise how they would have Kaladin forgive him, I want to say Kaladin doesn't forgive him. Mm-hmm. It's too easy for Kaladin to also somehow forgive Moash for killing Teft in front of
But
him.
what if
Right.
he forgives him and kills him at the same time?
Fine,
I forgive
I'll
you,
be okay with that.
but I win. Because you forgive them.
So however you want to write that.
But I don't think he'll get his ideal by killing Moash and being like, I forgive you.
What is the Brent meant specifically? Is it
Just Moash's forgiveness or redemption is involved in Kaladin's fifth ideal.
Kaladin's fifth ideal is gonna come about from a confrontation and a somehow
redemption involved in that?
Only if his redemption leads to Kaladin's fifth ideal.
Yeah,
I see.
Moash is given a choice, and Kaladin's like, "You can do it. You can come and give me your hand."
I'm gonna say no. Hopefully,
Moash redeems
Give
himself.
me your
and
hand.
Kaladin's like,
No.
Hopefully, Moash has a harder
Manny said no.
redemption path.
Slap the hand.
Andrew.
I'm gonna say no. I actually thought that Moash was redeemable even up until just about this point. Even after he killed, brutally murdered Rishon in the wine cellar or whatever it was back in Hearthstone. I even still kind of thought that there might be a little bit of hope for Moash, but in this last section, he just exterminated Teft with such callousness that I don't, no, Moash is done.
Kaladin speaks.
He's
So
done.
I will say, before I give my answer, I will say though that
No, give your answer and then tell us why.
no, because I'm the last one, so it doesn't matter what order.
I haven't said it. Have I?
Yeah, Ben is a no.
Is that what you thought?
Ben's like, that's news to me.
It's like, oh, well, I mean, that is my answer. I don't remember giving it, but... So...
It was a tough choice for me.
It was for me, too. It's a hard wording.
So... Now I lost my train of thought. Fuck. Okay, I'll just give my answer. I'm gonna...
Because what someone said, I can't remember who, but if the new Odium doesn't see him as a valid resource, and he takes away his protection,
Cast him aside.
that I'm like, that is, he might go through
That's a lot of
growth
pain and growth.
that he might have to go through.
That's
But
what I'm
he
saying.
also doesn't have a spren. He just has an honor blade.
Yet.
So he had to figure out, he would start on the first ideal, I guess.
He would
So
start
he'd
from
go
the
through
beginning.
all 5 before.
He's also the first Spren murderer, straight up.
Yeah.
So I would.
You could
say,
also say that the one of the 10 guys maybe murdered before him.
but we don't know about him a lot yet.
Well, he would be the
our
first Spren
perspective-
murderer if
from our
the theory is
perspective,
correct that would actually bond a Spren,
he
though.
stabbed a Spren in the head with a knife that immediately and permanently kills the Spren. And so, in my opinion, as a Spren, I'll be like, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
Just saying.
I mean,
I was gonna have to know that he did it.
That's not gonna take long.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna spread because I think we have this was the culmination of both sides. Is that this is how both sides can end the war.
permanence,
Is
yeah,
A,
it's
you
gonna
kill all
spread.
the honor spren. B, you kill all the fuse.
Yeah, but how would any other spren know that Moash killed that spren?
Well, the spren died. I mean, they had to have known.
He died, but how did who killed him?
But they can't. But they have no. At this point, no
I mean, I would
spren has
assume-
ever been able to die.
Probably Kaladin will just tell them.
Yeah.
Was he even there for that?
He's there now, and he's like, "What happened to her?"
Oh, you're right.
She died.
Lift was in the room, but we
But
we
Lift
don't know
can't
if she
see
saw it. She was
honor
Once
spren.
Navani's
but
material comes
hold
out,
on. But here's the thing, though. Here's
once
the thing.
Navani's book comes out, it's gonna be.
I'm just saying,
spread.
like, no one there could have seen.
You don't need to see.
So
though,
what if-
when you
what
have
if this
Navani's
happened?
book, the knife, and then you put it all together.
Yeah.
it's
But
like,
even
okay.
so, I don't think it matters because I think in order to truly have redemption, like he may bond a Spren, but in order to truly have redemption to the point that that is being
Crazy
talked about,
Spren.
he would have to admit it to his Spren before bonding.
Yeah,
He would have to come to grips with it.
I'm not saying
But-
anything with spren. He doesn't need to have a
Shallan
spren.
he's not
Killed
bonding
spren,
nothing.
and she didn't admit it when she bonded the new spren.
That's true.
She
Depends
definitely,
on the order.
But the Spren
she definitely
did know.
broke a
The Spren
bond
knew.
with the
The
Spren.
Spren knew.
and the Spren
She-
knew.
And
She
still
didn't
got
stab
And
it in
she
the
didn't
head
kill
with
it.
a
She
permanent
just made
killing
it
knife.
into a whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
But
A dead
also,
eyes.
Dark dead eyes.
She
Didn't stab it in the head
dark
with a permanent
Deadeyes.
killing knife. And I still think that Deadeyes will be able to come back. We just got to figure that whole thing.
Wait,
Yeah,
Brett,
we
Brett's
really-
the only
Yeah.
one. Yes or no?
No, I want you guys to talk about this a
No.
little bit more.
Wait, you know what I said? Go for it. We got to get to Dalinar.
I mean, I love Hail Marys, so, and I
Saying
don't
yes.
mind drinking.
You say that, but
How dare you? This is no Hail Mary. This is solid.
This is solid
and
This
100%
I
right.
mean, it's also inspired
backed
by
by
my
science.
thought, so I kind of have to support Josh because I
Finish this.
inspired
I'll be
him to
right
say
back.
it. So I'm gonna go with a yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with a yes, even though I don't think it's gonna happen. Just because
I don't want your yes now.
I do think that there's a potential. I do feel like Moash, to a certain extent, right now, is almost. It's almost kind of like as if like what is that movie, like Aeon Flux or whatever,
yeah.
where
Aeon Flux?
they have. I might be thinking of a different movie, but Aeon Flux, or maybe I don't know, where like they have like interfaces with human minds, and people can hack it and make you do things that you wouldn't normally do.
Ghost
They
in the
like
Shell?
Oh, Ghost in the Shell. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, not
Yes.
Aeon Flux. So it's almost like Ghost in the Shell-esque, where I feel like a little bit. As soon as you take away somebody's humanity, as soon as you take away their visceral reaction to things, it's almost as if they're not
they?
them anymore.
Yeah. That's
So I
not
feel
good.
like a little bit Moash is redeemable, even though he made choices in the past. A lot of his most egregious choices were made after the pain
With
was
no
taken away,
emotion.
once his humanity was taken away. So I do think that if that humanity is returned, potentially there could be redemption that I would accept, and if I would accept it, Kaladin would accept it.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I think we need to. Wow.
Dalinar. Okay.
Dalinar.
So Dalinar.
All right, let's make Dalinar quick, because he's a really minor character.
So the one thing that freaks me out more than anything about the quest that Dalinar is sending Kaladin on is he's basically like, oh, this guy's, by the way,
Hinged.
unhinged and also uncontained in power. He's literally could do everything a
geez.
bondsmith can do. He almost solidified spirit to stone and destroyed people because he was absolutely convinced that they were
Odium's
champions
people. Yeah.
So it's a very scary thing, and I love how Kaladin is going to have to deal with this.
Well, it's
Because, in my opinion, that actually is the best choice. But Kaladin has no idea.
He's a
He thinks,
bondsmith that's
I
like
could go on this vacation.
uncontrolled by. Typically, the bondsmith would be controlled or somehow
honor.
attached to honor. So he's a bondsmith without the rules of honor. So literally, he's just like, oh, you have a bond with the Stormfather. I can see that's wrong. I'm
He almost
taking
stole
it.
Oh,
Like it's just
my God.
gone.
An
It's
insane
mine.
person with that power creeps the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
Like, it legitimately creeps me out. You shouldn't have that bond. I'm taking it. And it's like, what?
But how far does that go? How far can that be? Like, oh, I see you've got a great bond with all of your other Windrunners. Well, you don't need that anymore. That should be mine. All the Windrunners now, like, all of a sudden are bonded
Yeah.
to me, or like their
That could be it.
loyalties.
It
Can
could
he
be.
do
It could be that twisted.
amount of
That's
stuff?
how scary a bondsmith could be.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy now that
Unbound by the ideals.
or
By
like
honor.
the laws
By-
by honor.
Anna kept the power in check and said you can't do XYZ, but you can do ABC.
Mhm.
And with
he's-
him gone now for the past 4,000 years, he's learned how
But
to
what
use
about
his
Elemental
power.
P?
He's learned how to use his powers to the fullest.
Yeah. The other thing that's crazy is that he's mediocre in terms of like good talent. But
Like
talent.
Well, that was
fighting.
just dueling.
Yeah,
no, but
with his
that's
blade.
even using your powers during dueling.
I thought
so-
it was just meant like a fighting. Like I guess it could be. That.
Well, fighting in general. So, like, fighting means using all of your abilities, and in battle.
Yeah.
And Talon was the best, by far. Like they always said, by far.
Yeah, everyone agreed that he was the best.
And so he could even probably beat a bondsmith because he was so good with his abilities.
But that was
see
a tempered bondsmith.
It was a tempered bondsmith, not a completely
Unleashed, like
unleashed
you can do whatever
bondsmith,
you want.
yeah.
Because it seems that the abilities now of him are far beyond what they should be. Which is interesting that it's like, is it only his powers that are bonded by why is it's a bit odd that a bondsmith's power is the only one that's bonded by honor, whereas like the other guys, are they all unleashed at this point?
No, I'm
too?
sure that all of them had certain things that they were like guarded against.
Mm-hmm.
But the bondsmith has the most because of how they interact with people. In those bonds with people. So it's like you have to be almost more. It's like more power, more responsibility.
Like,
In a
because
way.
it does feel like the bondsmiths were the leaders of the Radiance,
Yeah.
right?
To this day, the old heralds were like, we got to talk to Ishar because he always knew the most. That guy's completely off his rocker. Like, way insane. Most insane out of all of them. And they're like,
guys-
yes.
Remember at the end of the book, Dalinar was like, go and fix Ishana. I don't believe he's actually insane. He's like being corrupted.
Corrupted, yes. He did say
And so
that.
there's like something.
Because he had a moment of lucidity where
Yeah.
he's like,
Yes,
oh,
he
you
did.
need to do this. Like, and he kind of caught on and was like, okay, there's like
Like,
an
there's
event
something,
or something going on.
Causing his insanity.
Dude, that is a pure leadership greatness on Dalinar, who's not only going to be his own, I guess, champion. However, to delegate a
kinda
task
Hinted
so deeply that you have no idea what the outcome could be to Kaladin shows a lot of trust. I mean, that's unbelievably awesome. However, you're right. That's gonna be interesting.
I mean,
10 days.
Yeah, literally in 10 days.
but like
First of the last 10 days.
I was gonna say a little bit
Musings
before
of Val.
this, Dalinar was like, we gotta have hope that Kaladin's still fighting, and Yasna was like, you can't trust in hope. But Dalinar was thinking to his head like, I've seen what kind of hope he inspires, and we have to launch an offensive now,
Yeah.
even though we don't
Wasn't-
know what he's doing. We was talking to Yasna,
Wasn't there sorry, go ahead, finish.
and Yasna was like, oh, how hope is so terrible. When you believe in hope, you believe in maybe he still has a chance to live. But she was so pessimistic when she was talking about having hope that she just gave up on the tower instead of believing
Yeah, she
that
was like,
Kaladin and
it's
them
better
could
to
fight, that they would have
look at it.
hope to continue fighting, that to see that no matter the odds, there's always a chance. And Kaladin was that like linchpin that could change the tide of battle in the tower, and he was able to do it at the end and flip the tower.
Wasn't there a similar theme involved in an earlier book when he was talking to Sadeas, where he said like Sadeas doesn't take into account the
Sounds
power
really
of like
familiar.
inspiration or the power of people actually agreeing with the goals of their leader or something like that?
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It always sounds familiar, like being able to believe in your commanders and like when you underlined having that extra hope. I guess.
And the extra amount of just effort that can bring from all your people and turning people that you would calculate as ones into fives because they're just like believe in the cause. Yeah.
Sadeas himself might have even said that. He might have said, "Oh, I'm too much of a pragmatist to have
Yeah, I think that was
belief
in
in this crap."
Yeah.
I think he admitted it himself.
And I think that's interesting that we kind of see the same mindset coming out of somebody that we think is so superior to someone like Sadeas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she,
Well, I think the statement that she made about hope is
No,
people have hope when there's no other, then when they don't believe that there's really any other chance for them.
yeah, but
Then they rely on hope, which I think is more of a scholar way of looking at it.
Yes.
Like, you shouldn't necessarily have to have hope if you believe something can happen.
But like I think that's true what you're saying, Manny. And the thing is, you have to have hope ever have a chance of overturning the odds that were, especially at the tower. If you just gave up, like, oh, they have the tower, it shut down the radiant power, just give up and back off. But the people who won't give up, who still have hope, there's still a fighting chance for them to take it back.
Yeah.
And like Manny said, as a scholar, she only sees the history of the aspect and like, oh, this had a chance because it actually happened. Never to see it actually happen in her like point of view.
Well, I also think one of the potential downsides of people like Yasna that are so intelligent is that they assume other people function like they do. And she sees it as, oh, it's a
hopeless cause.
It's a hopeless cause, or even just not even that, but just like it's either hopeless or it's not. Like the elements play into it, and you just play your part in this, chess match that's happening. But the thing is, though, is that Dalinar, what he was saying potentially to Sadeas, if we're remembering it correctly, is so important also, where not everybody is necessarily as intelligent or as learned or as educated as Yasna, in the sense that a lot of people work more off of the visceral emotion of the moment than the strategical calculation of the moment. And if you can inspire people that look that way at things, it's like, why does everybody in every single, movie that's ever happened give like a big rousing speech before a battle? It's because if people are pumped up, they're going to be fighting harder. They're going to add that extra element that might bring it. And if you lose hope, it doesn't matter how important the stakes are. If you lose hope, you are not going to bring that next level to it. And that next level, just spanning across thousands of people, is a huge amount of increase, So I understand where Yasna's coming from, and it's not necessarily false, but when you actually apply it to the reality of battle, I don't think it holds as much weight as she thinks it does.
I think it depends on when you apply it to the reality of battle, because if it would have been like the second they were talking about it, and it was like, oh, we should just march all of our forces up the side of a mountain to try and fight this. It's like, no, that would have been a bad decision.
Oh,
right?
Right.
I think it's this temperament of you can keep hope, but still make the best decision, which at that point, her decision was right. No, we should not take our forces and try and storm Udathiru.
Right.
Because that would have just led to thousands of people dying.
But it was clearly not the right call, because Dalinar even knew that.
Yeah.
Because he's like, we're not doing that.
But it's not clearly the right call because Dalinar knew that. It's because that was the right call to make.
No.
Yasna
Dalinar did know that, and he's also a
off.
general, and he knows better.
No, I'm pretty sure it's like... This is like...
No, he said, if we lose
but...
Udathiru, it's over. We need to take it back. And Yasna was the one who was like, no, we need to coalesce around this. We can keep moving forward.
I was going to say that...
I thought that Dalinar said that he has faith in...
Yeah, he's like, that is what I call it. Then he was thinking like... He was thinking about Kaladin. It's like, I've seen his people wait for him when everyone said he was dead. And he thought the same thing.
There's still a chance. Yeah,
he's like, there's still a chance, and I think we should move. Like, even after that, it's like, he agreed with Yasna, kind of. Like,
he said, we're moving on.
But then it's like,
but I think that you shouldn't be so
But I
glum
think
about...
you guys are misinterpreting her being pessimistic about losing Udathiru.
Right.
I don't think that's accurate.
It was misinterpreted because Yasna may not have been so... She came off very like, it's lost. But that's the logic in her. It was just...
Yeah, like...
It wasn't
I don't
necessarily...
know. I think that the way that Dalinar and her were having that conversation is she was more so saying, like, I don't think that hope is necessarily a good thing because people only have hope when they don't have anything else. And really that you shouldn't ever feel like that. So it's kind of like she's making an argument to something that is its own argument. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I don't think that she's being pessimistic.
Yeah, well,
I think if anything, she's being more optimistic.
I think
I
she's
kind of
being
think
phlegmatic.
Yeah.
She says like she sees the numbers and she sees what they have and what the enemy has, and she's like, no matter what we do, logically we can't win. So let's not do anything about it. Let's give it and go move on to the next target.
Mm-hmm.
But
the reality
Dalinar
is,
was
you
like,
can turn those.
we got
over.
hope. We can still turn it around.
Well, this goes back to what we've talked about in quite a few episodes. I mean, obviously this seems to be, or maybe it's a reoccurring theme just because it's on my mind, but this seems to be a reoccurring thing that we bring up, is this idea of sometimes every single possibility, every single choice is potentially the right one. It's just which one is the right one in that instance, you know? And, I mean, the way that Yasna is looking at it kind of would reflect what Taravangian did. It's like, oh, he thought he was being pragmatic. But really what it comes down to is Taravangian in that instance a tyrant or you know, somebody that's just, you know, giving into evils because he doesn't want to deal with the downside, or is he a genius and a completely compassionate person? Literally comes down to if he makes the right choice or not. If everything was completely lost and he saves Kharbranth, then he's a compassionate person. If everything wasn't lost and he just gives up everybody else, then he's not a compassionate person and he's just a pussy that's saving Kharbranth. So it's like, it's kind of the same thing with this situation. I mean, not the same thing with this situation, because Yasna's not necessarily giving up anything. She's just saying, do we go into this or not? I guess. I don't know.
She's asking the question.
Yeah, she's asking the question.
Let's leave it.
But I feel like both points of view are completely valid.
Yeah.
And we don't know which one's the right one.
And actually,
And both of them are completely
Yeah.
are potentially correct.
And in a war council, you need all those
Yeah.
out, because you need to make the decision with everything, with the hope, with the logic, with everything.
But I
So-
also feel like Dalinar, even though he could possibly be wrong, I feel like Dalinar, because throughout these stories, he's been proven to have more of an instinct for battle than Yasna does.
For sure.
I feel like potentially his outlook on it is a little bit more valid. Potentially.
I would say that Dalinar is probably one of the greatest generals of all time, so you can't negate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but none of this was like a general strategic decision.
Sometimes-
it was just like it was hope. It was all hope.
It was-
There was
But
nothing.
that is the gut of a good general. Like, it's so strange how often it might come in battle, based on any kind of historical documentation you read. In the end, in gut and battle, sometimes it comes down to the hope, which is what Dalinar is saying.
I mean, sometimes
It's just weird.
Sometimes I feel like what good generals like Dalinar might describe as hope is just their inexplainable instinct and pattern recognition into doing the right thing in this specific situation. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's right, but there are things that people do. Like, there are times where people are just in situations where they know what to do, but they don't know what, they don't know why they know what to do.
But no decision he made actually changed
no,
anything.
No.
in the
You guys are forgetting about the fact of his historic general, like honestly, if
how am I
anything was
forgetting that?
truly unlosable. No, not you. I'm sorry.
Oh, me.
I'm sorry.
sure that's
not
exactly-
you.
I'm
Me.
pretty sure
Not
that's
you,
exactly what I
you.
just said.
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying he is the most historic renowned general in all of Alefkar. Okay?
Right.
So this is why I'm not saying you.
Okay.
I'm just saying you guys are forgetting when his gut kicks in.
Right.
It's also based on the same logic that Yasna's using as a scholar. The difference is he has fucking 25 years of general experience
In battle
to apply
experience, yeah.
that gut instinct. So all I'm getting there is when Yasna says it, it's logical, yes. Apply the logic to the instance with the gut and the experience, and then you've got a marriage of glory.
Yeah, because that super intellectual academic instinct, when vocalized, can help inform his instinct to a more refined level. Yeah.
Well,
Sorry. I didn't mean no.
It was funny because I said what I said and you looked at me and you went, no.
I was agreeing. I was agreeing. I'm sorry.
He was taking his head shake for a nod.
No, I was like, I just had this moment of like,
Jeff's
wait.
body works much like his text messages. It's completely opposite of what.
I'm sorry. I just had that moment. I'm like, no. Dalinar is like, he's like essentially the most successful CEO of all time.
All
in a way.
So I have. Are we?
No, go
Okay,
for it.
so I have a Brett bet to finish it all off, which is will Dalinar win the Contest of Champions?
Dang.
And that's going to be what we're going to close this
sucks
final
because
episode
there is
off on.
so much intricacy to this, and it's amazing.
Dude, I'm having 100%. It's gonna be Dalinar who's gonna be the champion.
I thought that was
That's
the,
what
the
he's
pact.
going, but
He said he is.
He didn't say
He thinks that he's
gonna be
champion,
it, yeah.
but the champion is up to decide.
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna be champion.
Oh, that's true. Okay, will the champion win? I guess the
Will Dalinar
Brett
champion
bet
win?
is then will Dalinar become a tool of odium or not?
I'm gonna say
Oh, okay.
that no, that Dalinar's side's gonna win.
Okay.
So then we'll have a
I'm gonna say the same thing, Ben.
that means we're gonna have a different epic in the next 5 books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm because we're going on book 5. I almost want to say no. I feel like it's a hard sell as a writer to go to the publisher and be like, we're gonna make this whole arc end.
I don't think
in
Brandon
a
Sanderson
failure.
has a hard sell though.
Well, but I
They're
feel
gonna
like-
finish this series.
I'm pretty
That's
sure the
gonna be it.
publishers are like, please just write more. You are so much. You even write faster than any other
I'm gonna
author
say
we've ever
no,
signed
then.
ever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no.
By the way, just so you guys know,
Okay, Josh
that,
is no.
He's
Skyward
telling
Book
his stories.
3 is already
70%.
submitted.
Oh, submitted.
Oh my
Submitted.
goodness. Wow.
Ben's a no, right?
Sanderson, you beast.
Yes. As
Oh,
in
Ben's
no.
a yes.
No.
Okay, Ben's a yes.
Wait.
All right,
No
Manny.
is
Manny.
Wait, what's the prep bet? Say it again. Will Dalinar
Will Dalinar become a tool of odium?
it's a tool of
Champion
odium.
loses.
I'm yes.
Oh,
I think the champion's
really?
gonna lose. Yeah.
Dalinar's
So I think
side
it's
is
gonna
not
feed into
gonna
5
lose.
No, we changed it. Will Dalinar become a tool of odium? Champion loses, whoever the champion is.
So
Wait, what?
Will Dalinar become a tool of odium?
Because
So,
the agreement
will
that he has
Dalinar
with the
So
gods.
Dalinar's side, so that's no.
You're right.
Dalinar's side's gonna win.
Dalinar's side wins in your
if it's in it.
because this one accounts for the fact that Dalinar might not be the champion.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. This
Right.
is really hard for me because I feel like in a
I'm
10
surprised
book
that you changed.
at book 5 in a 10 book series, my gut says like let Dalinar lose. However, I think that Brandon Sanderson is so creative he could come up with another epic for the next 5 books. So I'm gonna say Dalinar wins.
Wait, what?
It's very hopeful.
So it's a no,
I'm also-
I believe.
It's a no.
I'm also
Just with
gonna
me.
say that no, Dalinar will not become a tool of odium because I think that his side will prevail in the duel, but odium will find some way to weasel out of the pact or break his oath somehow in a sneaky way, and then the conflict will continue.
I mean, in 1,000 years, if he loses, he can just restart it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just
but I
feel
think
like
that he's gonna find some
5
other
out of
sneaky
10.
way
All
to
right, Manny.
break out of it and nullify the duel.
Yeah,
I like it, Captain.
Manny.
I already said no. I agreed with Ben.
You're the man, Manny.
I'm also gonna say no. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna say yes. No, I want to say yes. The reason I want to say yes is because of this. From everything that I've read, as far as comments and stuff go, it seems like it's confirmed that the back 5 books are gonna have very different focus than the first 5.
They will.
Wit's gonna have a book. Renarin's gonna have a book.
Yasna.
Yasna's gonna have a book.
Finally.
There's
right?
kind of no mention of Kaladin and Dalinar, and that doesn't mean they're not going to be in it, because even in these books, there are obvious focuses of each book, but all of the characters are
like
in
this
them.
one, Navani.
Right, exactly.
Kaladin's still in it. Dalinar's
Right.
still in it.
But I feel like, what is the point of view focus change for then? It could potentially be because there's a complete different change in main characters, potentially. So we'll see. Kaladin's on a pretty good path, though, so I don't know how much I believe in that.
Yeah.
But we'll see. It may just be that he wants a different point of view in every single of the 10 books, and there's only so many characters.
Kaladin could keep going on and this still be true.
Yeah, but it's also possible that Kaladin is involved. I don't know. We'll see. Kaladin
10 days is gonna suck.
There is a part of me that wonders if, because of this new path that Kaladin's on, if Kaladin ends up becoming the champion for Dalinar, and then Kaladin loses and Dalinar gets soul sucked. But we'll see. I think it's a long shot. I will gladly, I will fucking drink double because I'll be so happy if Josh and I lose. But I won't.
We'll make it a double.
Just kidding.
Shut up. All right.
No, just kidding.
We got the
good sack.
well, we've got the wretch, and then we've got positive Kaladin over here.
All right, guys. I think that might conclude.
Jeff's yep, we're done filming.
Yep.
That might conclude our conversation. I need enough to cheers. What do you guys? Final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I think I fucking loved this book. I agree that it was a little bit less action packed, but to me it was probably one of my favorite. I really like the internal struggles.
I feel this one, in terms of all the books so far, threw the most loops and kind of questions out that I feel like the other books were a bit more straightforward and a lot of stuff wrapped up.
Felt self-contained.
One, yeah. This one was one where it's just oh gosh, this is in terms of every Cosmere book I've read of Sanderson's, this is one of the first ones that I feel has the most that delves into the Cosmere and is really opening stuff up.
First one that mentioned it, right?
Yeah,
as far as we know.
As far as we know, that actually says the other shards of Adonasium or whatever.
Yeah.
And really opens it up. This one had a lot, and I feel like it was an extremely pivotal book in terms of his Cosmere.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked it. I highly recommend it. Not the same pace as the other books, but I don't think that dwindled from its amazingness.
And I think Ben brought up a really awesome point where, to me, I agree with him now that he said it, where it feels like 4 and 5 are one book split up into 2 parts.
Yeah, that's how I felt. And this book was slow. But to me, it was also so rich in character development. We got to see so many new sides. Navani's and that singer Bentley and Sai. And we see Kaladin.
He's I forgot that bitch's name.
And
Man, he goes.
And this book is just set up almost this whole book, even though there was action and there was fight scenes, and at the end there was that crazy fight scene between Kaladin and the Pursuer, who's now defeated.
So awesome.
That it was just setting up the second half of the book, which is book 5.
Yeah. And book 5 is almost most definitely going to be the last of the 10 days. We all kind of feel that way, right?
Is that a Brett bet?
No.
All right.
Let's just keep it that way.
Yeah.
Captain Eam the Dream.
Captain.
Yeah, nothing to add. You guys have made good points. I got nothing to add.
But your point
Andrew's
is
ready
so
for
much
bed.
better. At 9:30?
Eam.
I kind of agree. I don't really have much to add. I think you guys have summarized it pretty well. I think this book was kind of made me do a little bit more self-reflecting as an individual or human being than the other ones, where it was really more so of a story. This one was really more so personable. But other than that, I think you guys covered pretty much everything that I felt.
All right. Yeah. Do you still hate Venli?
I don't hate her. I just think she's stupid.
So you don't. So you don't still hate her. Cool.
All right.
All right. Fuck it, gentlemen. We have to end it here, but we will be revisiting this because we will have a Brett Bets at some point in the far
Long
future.
episode.
And it is one long episode
Super episode.
instead of
Super episode.
many others.
All right.
All right,
cheers.
cheers to another 2